All right, so you know how picking a streaming device can sometimes feel like you need to be like a tech genius? We're going to dive into the Formuler Z11 Pro Max today.
That's the one you've got your eye on.
Yeah.
And we're going to cut through all the marketing stuff and figure out if it's as good as it sounds or just hype. And we are going to do it your way using what we've got. We've got the product page, of course, the official one.
Of course.
The Amazon listing. Everybody loves those.
Everybody.
And the Canadian version, because, of course, that's where you are. But best of all, we've got your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Because who knows what you need better than you?
I love when listeners do that. It gives us a much clearer picture of what actually matters to them. What are they actually looking for in a device?
Absolutely. So the Z11 Pro Max, it boasts 4K, Android 11 AX wireless. It even throws around words like professional features.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty impressive, right?
It does sound good.
But what do those specs actually mean for the average person who just wants to watch their favorite show?
Yeah, you want to translate that tech jargon into like real world experience, right?
Exactly.
So 4K, Android 11, pretty standard these days. You expect that.
Right.
But that 4 gigabytes of RAM they're talking about?
Okay.
Now that's something to get a little bit excited about.
Okay.
Imagine streaming like a 4K movie while you are browsing recipes or you've got multiple apps open. That extra RAM is like having a super smooth brain. You are not going to be hitting those buffering delays. Everything is just going to work smoothly.
I love that. Multitasking without the meltdown. Okay, so AX wireless. Now that sounds like it can power like a whole spaceship. Is it really that next level, or are they just kind of flexing a little bit?
It's fast. I'll give them that.
Okay.
So we're talking about 6th generation Wi-Fi here.
Okay.
Designed for super high speeds and, less congestion on your network. So if you've got a lot of devices fighting for bandwidth, it is a way to future-proof yourself. But honestly, most people, even with some older Wi-Fi standards, they can handle streaming without a problem.
Right.
It's unless you are running a business off your Wi-Fi, you're probably not even going to notice.
Good to know. No need to pay for something that you're not going to use. Right. And speaking of important details, I see on the Amazon listing you sent that it does support Canada. Always crucial.
Yes, very important.
And bonus, it looks like it even comes with a free ExpressVPN trial.
Oh, nice.
Always music to any streamer's ears.
Oh, yeah. Always a smart move to double check those regional details because, streaming services have different content libraries depending on where you are.
Totally. Okay, so let's unpack this claim. 2 times better graphics performance. It sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
But I always wonder, compared to what? Like a potato. What is the benchmark that they're even using? And will you actually see a difference?
Yeah, so they're talking about the Mali G57 processor,
Okay.
which is a series upgrade from the older Mali G31. It's
Yeah.
found in a lot of devices, and
Okay.
yeah, double the performance is a fair statement. But the
Okay.
question is, will you, as the average person watching Netflix, actually see a difference?
Yeah, the age-old question of specs versus what you're actually going to experience.
Exactly.
So tell me more about that.
Think of it this way. You're not going to see a huge difference watching like a sitcom, but something like high-end gaming. Or if you were doing 3D rendering or something like that, where really detailed graphics are super important,
Yeah.
that's where you're going to see it.
So it's really all about like what you're going to use it for.
Yeah, your use case.
Are you a casual streamer, or do you push your tech to the limits with like demanding games and apps? That's when knowing yourself and how you use these things really becomes important.
Okay, so both the product page and the Amazon listing, they keep mentioning a clean home screen. And I've got to say, I always approach those claims with a bit of skepticism.
Right.
Is it true simplicity, or is it just a different set of apps that come preloaded that I'm never going to use?
That is a really valid concern because a lot of devices promise you a clutter-free experience.
Right.
But then you are stuck with what they think is useful.
Formular, though, does have a pretty decent reputation when it comes to the way their interface looks.
Okay.
They do tend to be more minimalist, which can be really good for user friendliness, especially someone who's not like a tech wizard.
Exactly, because who wants to spend, their Friday night fighting with a menu just to get something to play?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
With super simple interfaces,
Yeah.
sometimes they lack flexibility.
Okay.
So if you're somebody who likes to really customize their devices,
Yeah.
tweak the settings, make it your own,
Right.
that might not be the right fit for you.
It's the classic trade-off, right?
Yeah,
Ease of use versus how much you can actually customize and make it your own.
exactly.
So listener, it really comes down to you. Are you all about that, like, it just works,
Yeah.
simplistic, or do you like to get in there and really like fine-tune things and tweak the settings and make it your own?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some of the I guess, more intriguing details
Okay.
that I found. So the Formuler page is really hyping up something called MYTV Online 3.
Yeah.
They even have like this dramatic Discover Now button.
Really?
What is that all about?
It was a little dramatic,
Yeah.
but I think it gives us a little bit of a hint into who they're targeting
Okay.
with this device. So MYTV Online 3, it's a pretty popular IPTV client,
Okay.
which basically means that it's designed for people who are getting their TV channels through like internet-based services instead of like traditional cable or satellite.
Interesting. Okay. So not your typical like Netflix and chill type setup then.
Not necessarily. A lot of people use IPTV alongside, the regular streaming services.
Right.
But if IDTV means nothing to you, listener,
Yeah.
then you can safely put MYTV Online 3 in the "that's nice, but I don't really care" category.
Gotcha. Okay. Next up. Why in the world does the remote have patents? Like, good for them. But it seems like a strange thing to highlight.
You don't see intellectual property law as a selling point very often for remote control.
No.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell how important these patents are
Right.
without getting into like the weeds of it all. It could just be marketing.
Right.
Maybe it's incredibly ergonomic. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe it makes popcorn.
Maybe.
We'll file that under curious, but not a deal breaker, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, last detail from the Formuler page. They hit us with this 4K 10-bit 60 FPs, and then there's HDR10 and HLG. Can you break those down for me?
All right, so we're going to decode this little alphabet soup of video specs here.
Please.
Because I think we've all been there where it's like 4K, HDR. What does it all mean?
Yes.
So basically, these specs tell you how good the picture can look.
Okay.
We already know it's 4K resolution.
Right.
10-bit refers to color depth.
Okay.
So what that basically means is you're going to get smoother gradients, more realistic colors.
Okay.
Like imagine a sunset and how the colors kind of like subtly change.
Yeah.
10-bit color is going to make that look really nice and lifelike.
Okay.
And 60 fps, that stands for frames per second.
Okay.
And basically what that means is smoother motion, especially for stuff that's really fast-paced, like action movies or sports.
Got it.
So that's what that means.
So that all sounds impressive, but will the average person like actually see that difference?
So honestly, unless you are comparing it directly to a device that has lower specs, probably not going to be this like mind-blowing difference.
Okay.
And even then, the quality of your TV and what you're actually watching makes a big difference too.
Right.
As for HDR formats, so HDR10 and HLG,
Yeah.
those expand the range of colors and contrast.
Okay.
So basically they're making the picture more vibrant and more realistic looking.
Okay.
But again, you need to have a TV that can actually support those formats to see any of the benefits.
So it could be a lot of technical terms that don't actually mean a whole lot in terms of your actual viewing experience.
Exactly.
Depending on your setup. Okay. So now for the part of our deep dive where we talk about what they don't tell us,
Yeah.
what the sources leave out.
Because what's left unsaid can be just as important as what they actually say.
Right. So, for example, I'm not seeing a whole lot about supported audio formats, which for you audiophiles out there is a pretty big deal.
Huge. If you've got a really nice sound system, knowing if this thing supports Dolby Atmos,
Right.
DTSX, that's a big deal.
Right.
Those formats give you that really immersive surround sound. And while most devices can handle the basics,
Right.
it's the advanced stuff that takes it to the next level.
Right.
So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
And another thing that's glaringly absent from both of these sources is anything about future software updates. Like, how long is this thing actually going to be supported?
$1 million question in the tech world. Right. And the fact that they're not being upfront about that,
Yeah.
not a good sign.
Yeah.
Streaming devices, they live and breathe based on the software.
Right.
So if the company's not giving you updates and they just drop it,
Wait.
your expensive device is a paperweight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. Hardware gets old, software fades away. And actually, speaking of things fading away, I also noticed that there's really no warranty information on that Amazon listing.
Never a good sign.
Yeah.
Always check the warranty, especially with electronics. A good warranty tells you that the company trusts their product.
Right.
It's like a little bit of a safety net.
Exactly. Peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have covered so much. We talked about Wi-Fi that's like lightning fast. We talked about remotes with patents.
With that,
But let's bring it all back to you, listener, because the big question here is this Formuler Z11 Pro Max the right streaming device for what you need?
So based on everything we have looked at this device, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's got the RAM, it's got the processor,
Yeah.
it can handle anything you throw at it,
Mhm.
even a bit of gaming, it seems like, if you're into that. But,
There's always a but, isn't there?
right, the thing is, and this is really important for you to think about all of those little hints about MYTV Online 3, it tells me that they're really focusing on people who are into IPTV.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about really getting into IPTV, then yeah, this could be a really good option for you.
Okay.
But if you're mostly just using like Netflix and Hulu and things like that,
Yeah.
something simpler might be a better choice for how you stream.
I like that, how you stream. Everybody's got their style right.
Everybody.
Okay, so to kind of wrap things up here, listener, remember, don't get lost in all the specs and the jargon. What matters is what you need it to do. How comfortable are you with technology? What are your priorities? Do you want something that's super simple to use? Do you want to be able to change all the settings? Is it important to you to have software updates for a long time? Those are the things to think about.
Find the device that just fits into your life, not the one that has a whole bunch of stuff that you're never going to use.
Well said. Well, that is all the time that we have for today's deep dive on the Formuler Z11 Pro Max. Hopefully you feel like you can make a good decision now. And until next time, happy streaming.